Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. I'm going to do a reading. It feels like the energies are starting to shift. And I'm sure a lot of that has to do with Neptune moving into Aries after 14 years in Pisces. So like huge, it's like we can feel that when the outer planets shift, when we're going from one element, one energetic signature into another. It's like it's palpable in the field, and we might not always identify it as that, but yeah, you can feel it. And I'm noticing in my life, there are a couple things that I've used as markers, things that have been on hold, where I'm like, okay, when this starts to move, or when this comes into view, or I get that call back, or whatever it is, I'll know that the energy is shifting. And so two of those things happen today, where it's like, okay, confirmation, things moving forward. Are starting to move forward. Anyway, I'm gonna jump into the cards. There's a lot of things that I feel in my sort of like arena that wants to be talked about, but I don't know how to bring it forward. So I'm just gonna jump into the cards and kind of let them inspire and guide me. So let's see what we get here for an overall energy. Oh my gosh. Coyote Spirit, trust in divine detours. So this was our last card in that last reading, but it was in a different deck. It was in my shaman deck. And so that's interesting, this coming out as our overall energy. What's interesting and how this sort of feels to relate to this present moment is that a lot of us have had a lot of detours, or things falling away, or things that or even in the world, we were talking about this in relation to the world, like catastrophes and things happening that look really bad and or are really bad, and yet there's that divine order in it. So really coming strong with that as our first message. Also noticing the number, the 1 and the 6 adding up into a 7. So that's been coming through as my higher timeline energy, higher timeline number, holding that frequency of the new. And so all of this being about coming into the new. So as you reflect on your own life and you look at the things that might have been making you feel insecure, or making you feel, because I know a lot of us, okay, so now I'm starting to get it going. A lot of us have been having situations, or even just out of nowhere, just bubbling up, patterns around programs, I want to say. The programs that are still held in us around fear, of course, victim, lack, limitation, all these things. But the thing that really seems to be up right now is the worthiness, right? The worthiness, and all of the programs and all of the ways that we've been conditioned to not feel worthy. Think about our educational system and all the grades, and then, the jobs and the rewards and the accolades. And if you don't get them and you're not, doing what you're supposed to be doing, that society says you're supposed to be doing, then, and that stuff gets in really, really early, So even if we've progressed in our lives and gone through many decades, and we're putting ourselves out in a true way, and we're we've come a really long way, right? A lot of us have come a really long way in our lives. It's like the roots of those programs are still embedded in there. They're still embedded in there. And I feel what I've been noticing is this is a time when all that stuff is coming up for a purge, and like a flushing, right? And so we were talking about that. We always talk about that in relation to the energies that are coming in. Again, the 7, these Christic energies, the frequencies that are coming into our planet, the codes and information that are holding that higher frequency energy, which we're acclimating to. It's like our operating system has been upgrading to this higher frequency, and it's kicking up those programs that are left in us. So a lot of us have been doing this for the last 4 or 5 years, maybe even more. But really, the solar energy, which is what broadcasts to us these frequencies, has really only been in its maximum and kicking up for the last 4 plus years. And so that's when we really started getting inundated with it, and a lot of us going through the activations and the purges within our bodies that kicks up a lot of the fear programs and all that, and can really take you offline. Okay, so now it really feels like this unworthiness program is coming up. And so you might have been noticing that in your life, where you might be comparing yourself more to other people, or just feeling that you're not enough, or just questioning if you should do things a different way, or if you should do anything at all, and that kind of thing. And I know for me, there have been all these sort of like external things that have been triggering But I know for some people, this stuff just comes up. You're just in tune with the energies, and the energies are pushing through this program. Then you start to feel it, right? However it's presenting for you. But what's really, really interesting, what the message that I've been getting, and so we've been talking about this in several of the readings, kind of hinting on it or wafting around it. The survival issues, right? Which is connected to the worthiness issues. Survival is connected to money, to currency, and so what's been coming through for me is the true currency. The true currency is self-worth and self-love. You think about the second house in astrology, it's what you value. It's also earned income, so it's like the codes in that, like what are we valuing, and what are we doing to earn our income? Are we running the old program where we have to hustle and try and make ourselves different so that people like us, and all these things, right? That's the old way. The new way that's coming through with these energies that we're being activated by and upgraded by is true currency, which is self-alignment, self-love, self-value, valuing your original frequency, your original codex that you came here to plant and to be, right? We've gotten away from it. We've all gotten away from it. We've been programmed. We're not good enough. We have to try. We have to abandon ourselves. And so it's like we're unraveling all of that, where we're coming back, a lot of reparenting, a lot of sitting with old emotions, old neural pathways, and not believing them this time. Not, just sitting in that energy and allowing it to alchemize while you hold space for yourself. So we've been talking about this in a lot of these readings, but the connection that I'm making is it's also related to the shift in the financial system, the shift that's going on in many parts of our world, and starting and rippling, where the fake money, or the old program and the old way that we were doing things is it's no longer, it can know anything of the old. And that's what we were talking about in that last reading. Anything false can no longer stand. So everything's crumbling, and what's coming up in its place is truth. It's truth. It's the truth of us. It's our true, authentic, energetic signature that we came in with, and getting back to that. So again, all of this coyote energy and these things that are kicking up our fears, kicking up our insecurities, kicking up concerns, are really to get us to stand with and value and honor and love ourselves exactly as we are. It's like we're worthy because we exist. We're worthy because we are a soul in a body on this earth. We have inherent worth, and when we tap into that and we come back to that, we start to attract in. So there's that abundance consciousness. You start to attract in a reflection of that wholeness within you, and all of your needs are met in abundance. All of your needs are taken care of. You have everything that you need when you need it. And then also knowing what you want, and knowing that our words and our focus help us to they create, they pull in, they direct the outer realm, which is a reflection of our consciousness. And so choosing not to speak in terms of I can't, or I don't have enough, or whatever, just knowing that if you feel the inner guidance or the inner longing or desire for something, that it will work out, that you'll have everything that you need when you need it, and allowing yourself to have your needs, not bypassing your needs or going without because of outer appearances, allowing yourself to want what you want on that deep soul level, not because society tells you that you're not worthy unless you have that thing, right? There's a discernment. That's the other thing that keeps coming up for me, is this great discernment towards the energetic frequency of things. Is it old energy, or is it new energy? Is it fake energy, or is it authentic energy? And when you run into people and they say all the right things and they have all the right words and they're super cool and they're doing all the right things, but you don't feel any sort of like heart transmission from them, and you're not meeting in that telepathic realm, even though you're speaking about one mind things, you can feel that they're not in that room. And then you know that it's false. You know that they're posturing. You know that they know the words and they know the trends, but they haven't done the inner alchemy to actually be transmitting those codes, right? Things like that. Just having that discernment and not gaslighting yourself, and knowing when somebody's coming at you from a distorted frequency and trying to get you to do something. That can happen, right? And that can be in service, because they're going to highlight whatever gets triggered in you. It's going to show you your unworthiness and show you where you're not standing by yourself. Then you get to stand with yourself in relation to that and clear that program, right? So a lot. I don't know if you're relating to this, but it seems like a lot of this, I know for me and others, where and then again, so at the end of that last reading, I remembered to share about all the Jesus synchronicities that I'm having. And I had another one today for a friend, well, she knows knows that I'm going through this Jesus thing because I had told her. But she sang me a song. She sang me a hymn, and then it was really beautiful too. I don't remember. I didn't recognize the hymn or the passage, but she sang it in her beautiful, transmitting like Hathor voice, full of codes, and she was saying, but basically what it was is like letting go of the old, and aligning with the true tone, the true currency, which is self-love, which is self-alignment, which is that 7, that Christic energy, that Christ consciousness, and everything flowing from there, withdrawing from the old and going into the new. So we keep talking about this. What was I going to say? It was something about the Jesus and the frequency, right? So a lot of messages around Jesus and the compassion and the forgiveness, and but aligning with like all you have to do is maintain your frequency. All you have to do is maintain your frequency, and it's like our original frequency, right? It's our original, but it feels new because we lost it. We lost it throughout our lives, or maybe even right away, maybe even very young. But through all the refinement that we're doing, we're getting it back. And every time we choose ourselves, and every time we listen to that small or loud voice, we align ourselves more and more with our true frequency. And so just that thing with that energetic discernment, where when you find yourself in an environment, or engaging in words, things you're putting out, or things that you're taking in or hearing from another, that have that distorted frequency, all you have to do in response to that is stay centered and steady with yours, and you will be that structured water that transmutes what's in the field that's out of alignment, that's distorted, but also up levels it and raises people up. So you might notice that when you're really strong and you're really in a good mood and you're able to hold your frequency, somebody else that's not feeling well will or is looping in something, they'll get clear. They'll get clear. You're that structured water, and then all of a sudden they raise up with you, right? And so that type of thing. But maintaining our frequency is really, really important right now, because we're trying to anchor this energy, and there's a lot of people, if they're not centered in their heart, they're gonna be going crazy. There's a lot of crazy things that have been coming into my awareness of people just really acting out and being kind of insane, And so those of us that do have that heart connection, that are able to source from that higher mind and from that intuitive soul-based way of seeing through our hearts, it feels like the message, at least for me, and now delivering it over and over and over again, has been in just holding the frequency, like not letting the lower frequency pull you into your distortions, into your anger or reaction, or self-hatred, or whatever it is, but just holding really strong, because people really need that right now. They need that from us. And there's that compassion and forgiveness thing. Forgive them, they know not what they do. People are spiraling out, or people just need some assistance, and they're playing out old energies, and just being that structured water. But again, I feel like there's a lot of opportunities to practice that, a lot of tests. You might be relating to that. Okay, so let's move into the tarot and see what else. The Page of Earth. Wow, yeah. So that's that brand new path. And that's what I'm feeling right now with this Neptune into Aries, or whatever else is going on in the energies, where there's like this little seed that's come up, like we've been in the dark, we've been in the snake energy, shedding off all the things, confronting the things, and, and like priming that well where, you're holding your finger on the button. It's starting to flow. That's what I'm feeling in the energies. There's just this tiny little indicator that things are starting to flow. And so that coming through in this reading as well. It's like what we've been doing is starting to take hold. What we've been doing for decades or years, or even just in the last few weeks or few days, the amount of light work that we've been doing inside of ourselves is making a change. It's making a change in our lives, and it's making a change in the collective, because again, what we do inside of ourselves puts out that transmission, that frequency into the field, and it starts to change the collective hologram. So a small seed of this becoming visible. And that's the thing with the fire horse energy as well, with the was it the wood snake? With the wood snake, the snake energy, very yin, very inward, very much about clearing and transformation and healing. And then the fire horse, doesn't that match the Aries energy, where it's just forward and like knowing what to do and knowing what to do in the moment. So there's that holding. So this is kind of interesting. One of the things that I've been doing recently is I've been writing down and making little like altars around my house. Like I'll do stones, and I'll have this thing that I wrote, and I just make like a little ceremony out of it. Things that I know to be true of myself that I'm reclaiming and calling to, intending, calling forward to flesh out and to live from and to claim and to own. And so one of them was, how am I saying it? Like, oh shoot. Hold on. I'm going to get it. It's like my natural alignment with myself. I didn't say it like this. I said it better, but it's something like this. It's like my natural alignment allows me to effortlessly on the spot discern energy in the moment so that I can take right action for the highest and best of all concerned. And so I had a situation this morning where there was somebody in my neighborhood who is just really doesn't have like really good boundaries and doesn't really think about how his actions affect other people. And so my cat was crossing the street and he's walking up the street with his dog and he's like, oh, there's a kitty, go get the kitty. And so his dog runs after my cat and chases her into the yard, and then it is in my yard. And I was just like, get out, and just yelled. And then I was like, why would you do that? Like, please don't encourage your dog to chase my cats. And he just poo-poos me like, oh, she's fine. And this and that. And so, but in that moment, even though I was really mad and I kind of just wanted to like body slam him and like stiletto heel his neck, and like, Callie, I later, because I know him, actually, I've known him for a long time. I just sent him a text and just said again, like, this is my yard and my animals and it's my right and responsibility to set boundaries. And so he poo-pooed me again. And then I just said, and oh, cats and blah, blah, blah. I said, none of that matters. The reality is that this is my yard, my cat. You don't have a right to infringe upon it. Please respect other people's boundaries, even if you don't agree. And I left it at that. And then I felt all that like anger and that like his distortion in my body. And I just did the breathing and the whole like Kundalini shake off where it goes out your crown. And so my sister and I were doing this the other day. We were transmuting a very similar energy together. Around sort of distorted masculine or energy that's just oblivious, that just kind of pulls it to themselves, and has little games that they're playing. They're not connected to the whole, and her and I both separately, because we were just on the messaging, we were both doing the same thing where we were breathing, we were pulling it up just like you would in sacred sexualities, Kundalini energy, but we were using it for clearing, and then it's out the crown and the head's shaking and then the whole body's shaking and you're just like, and you just shake it off. That's gone, it's out of your body and you've transmuted it as well. So there's that snake medicine, you take in the poison and you metabolize it and you clear it. And so there's service in that as well. So I've been interfacing a lot with that kind of distorted masculine magician, but using the power in the wrong way type of energy. And so I did that same thing. And then it left my body and then I felt fine. And it was just like, I handled it in the right way. Anyway, a story within a story, but that whole intention of, I'm going to know how to react in the moment. I'm going to be able to trust what comes through me. I'm going to be able to trust my response, what I say, how I say it. Same thing in readings or in energy work, trusting your channel, trusting your connection, trusting what's coming through and knowing that you can be that structured water, even in action, not just so that's the thing from the snake to the fire horse. We're in action in that moment, speaking, taking action, doing things and spreading that light and that integrity and that right action onto this realm, but doing it in this sort of surrender, shape-shifting way. So we were talking about that in the last reading as well, where you become whatever you need to become for that energy in that moment. And so that's the thing. It's like if you have that intention and you anchor and so there's something else that I want to share, and you anchor that energy through writing or through article affirmation or whatever. You've put that into your program. You've put that into your field. You can then trust and surrender. And I was saying that in the last reading as well, when I used to go into panic about things I would say in sessions because I didn't understand what was coming through me. And then I finally just decided, just sort of like invoked and consecrated throughout all space and time forevermore that what comes through is right at the right time and for the right reasons and this and that. And just trusting the channel, trusting the flow, but also creating it by choosing it. So writing that down. And so my friend, the same friend that I work with a lot, she was saying to me, and she channels, her guides, and she'll bring through messages for me and stuff like that. And I can always tell, like, even if it's something that I'm not like really relating to, or I'm not, it's like, I can always tell from the energy or just the fact that she's doing that. It's like, okay, she's being guided and there's some reason for that. So she was telling me to scribe. She was like, what if we scribed? And, you just write down what you want and this and that. And I was kind of like, oh, I was like, well, I don't really know what I want other than I want alignment, and everything else will flow from there. And so she was like, okay, well, write that down then. And then I was like, wait a minute, I'm already doing this. So it was confirmation. It's like she brought through the confirmation for me that my scribing, that me writing these things down were having effect in the physical world. And so that happened last night, her and I, this conversation between her and I. And then this morning, this thing happened with this man where it was like, again, it was just down and out and down and out. I've had a lot of gaslighting in my life. And I had mentioned before, if you've been listening to me for a while, I was in a very cult-like relationship with a person that just gaslighted the shit out of me to the point where I was so confused. I had so much cognitive dissonance, which is actually exactly what our society does to us as well. So if you've been in a cult-like situation, you realize we're living in a cult. You know, all of society is a cult. It's the same rules. It's like the cookie cutter thing. And so, you know, I have a lot of neural pathways of just sort of like fight, you know, like fight or flight, really fight or flight, but also freeze, where you just kind of go into cognitive dissonance and you don't know how to hold your ground, or you don't know how to, like, you just get confused, you know? And so I've been really calling that forth, because I know when I was younger, I was like impeccable with my boundaries, and I knew what to say. And I was always the one that would like, if somebody was picking on somebody else, I would always just barge right in and like, you know, like stick up for that kid, you know, and I just flowed it through me. It never even thought about, oh, they might start picking on me now. I just did the right action. Like I really had that. And I just lost it. You know, I just got frozen. And so anyway, calling that forth and then having that come through, where setting your boundaries and sticking up for yourself and that kind of thing. But also calling forth, writing down. I got that message last night. I was guided to write it down, and I was doing that, but then the confirmation through her, through my friend last night. So sharing that as well, writing down and for me, it's like the attributes that I used to have and that I know were a part of me, but that I lost, you know, and calling them back and just commanding them and claiming them, and then watching how it unfolds in your hologram. Okay, so and that being part of like this new path as well. It's like calling it forward, like we're at the very, very beginning. And that's the other thing. Oh, that's interesting. So with the seed analogy, so I was talking with another sister that I powwow with, and we anchor energy and stuff like this as well this morning, and we're both having this message around late March things. So we're talking about things kind of like just starting, just the seeds, but things really starting to roll late March. So if you're in this situation where you don't know what's going on, that's another thing I've been hearing from a lot of people. They're like, well, I don't really know what's going on. I'm in this state of suspension. I'm in this kind of void. I'm doing a lot of inner work, a lot of inner looking and feeling, and I don't really know who I am or where I am right now. And the message that I got, and then it turns out my friend had gotten the same thing with late March, like springtime. For me, it's specifically late March. But when I told her that, she's like, oh my God, I have chills all over my body. She's feeling the same thing, in the resonance and the confirmation in that. So sharing that as well for others who might be resonating with sort of feeling this like, okay, something's got to give. I feel that something's got to give. And that's the other thing that her and I were confessing to each other. Like, even though we feel this really strong guidance and we trust that energy and that vision, it's like there's still a part of us that's like, yeah, well, what about all those other times that you thought something was going to happen and it didn't? Like, maybe you're just crazy, and maybe you're irresponsible, and maybe you need to go. So there's where that worthiness thing is. Maybe I'm not doing it right. Maybe I need to hustle more. Maybe I need to, you know, and then it's like, it just eventually just kind of like dissolves, and you just keep coming back to that quiet voice, you know. I usually go over here because the feminine energy is on the left side, but I'm also kind of tuning into the right brain, you know, which is over here. But anyway, yeah, so it's like, I lost my train of thought. Hold on, I'm going to get it back. Yeah, just trusting it. It'll come back to that quiet voice where the old just keeps dissolving. The old where you have to hustle or try, or you're wrong, or you're embarrassed of yourself, or you feel worthless, or that self-loathing. That's all that insecurity program and that unworthiness program. And so it's up right now because it's like it's like a fractal, you know. And it's like, which one is causing which? Really, they're connected. This thing with the currency and our money and our survival in the world. Coming into true alignment with our true currency. Again, I'm repeating myself, but just to say it again, with the worthiness and the self-love, and a lot of that is listening to those voices, listening listening to that voice that says, look to the sun when your body feels crazy, or that voice that says, just wait, because you're clearing your unworthiness program. You're clearing your insecurity program so that you can be a true match to your abundance. You can be a true match to the reflection of your true value, and therefore have all of your needs met in abundance. So trust this crunch time, and trust that it's going to roll. And some of us even getting dates, times of when that's going to roll, but allowing that incubation period, allowing that compression, knowing that it's getting you into the state of consciousness that's going to attract in your abundance is part of this shift in the financial system. And it's part of how we're anchoring it. We're doing the work within ourselves. It's like we really can't experience an effortless flow of abundance unless we do that inner work within ourselves. We're always going to be hustling, but that hustling isn't working anymore because the energetic signature on this planet is changing. And so, and like we saw in that last reading with the buffalo and with the energy of inevitability, it's like we might feel like, because I've had moments where I'm like, well, I had moments like this with my health stuff as well, where I was like, I know I'm creating my reality. I know that I can create my demise and my sickness and my decline, or I can create my activation and my expansion into these higher energies. But I didn't know if I didn't feel that I was strong enough to do it. And that scared the crap out of me, where I was like, I can't believe this is all on me. Like, of course it's not, because we have our soul family and the synchronicities and the connection, and we're guided and we're supported and all that. But it is our choice, and it is our power and our divinity that we have to tap into to align with these higher frequencies in every area of our lives, whether that's the medical system and our health, whether it's religion and not looking outside of ourselves anymore, but sourcing from within, or whether it's surviving monetarily in the world, not hustling and playing the old game and jumping through all the hoops that society says you have to jump through, but turning within and finding your own self-love and your own self-alignment. And then it happens naturally. It happens naturally as an expression of your authenticity, because your authenticity holds the codes of your soul journey and your soul transmission and what you're here for, your mission of your transmission. Right. And when we do that, when we have the courage to truly be ourselves, and just like me with that guy or whatever other example, flowing through the right action at the right time and trusting as it comes through, allowing yourself to be that vessel, whether it's in your work or your service or in your communication with whoever you're talking to, or something you're correcting in your field, trusting yourself, surrendering. And that was the song that my friends sang to me today, the hymn. It's surrendering the old and allowing that seven, that Christ consciousness, to flow through you. It's the second coming. It's the second coming. It's coming through all of us, right? But you have to open up and allow it. Open up and allow it. And that's what these energies are doing. And Atlas as well. These energies. Excuse me. I realize I always burp during these readings, and it's because I'm clearing energy. I'm moving energy. I have several friends that do that. They burp a lot, and they're like, and I realize, that's what I do as well. I just thought I had intestinal problems or something, but no, it's always during these readings or during sessions or conversations, stuff like that. So anyway, transmuting through that. We are transmuting the old. We're transmuting it through our bodies. We're transmuting it through the neural pathways in our brain. We're transmuting it through our reactions and actions in the world. And again, that inevitability that we can trust. So again, with this thing with the money and the currency, I'm like, I don't know if I'm strong enough. I don't know if I can do it. Like, I feel like this unworthiness thing is like embedded so deeply. How am I going to get over this? But it's the same thing. I did get over my fear around my body. And it's like, I know how to listen to my body and move with it, and to identify the energies and to breathe through them and to allow them to move and to hear the information. It's like, we're our own healers. We're our own activators. We're our own transmuters. And so that whole paradigm for me shifted, and it took me a long time to do that, but I got there, and what I realize is it's inevitable. It's evolution. That's what it is. It's evolution. And we can resist it and we can fight around it, but that's part of the evolution too. That's the alchemy. That's the grist for the mill that transmutes and releases these programs. And so that's what I realized, that we don't have to worry that we're going to fail. We're not going to fail. We might resist. We might cause ourselves more problems. But again, maybe we need that. Maybe we need that extra catalyst. but we are going to get there because it's evolution, and we're encoded with it. It's like the imaginal discs of the butterfly. We're encoded with this. We know how to do this, but the more that we can relax and trust, the easier and the faster it will go. So just as someone who really had a lot of resistance and a lot of struggling, just being on the other side of at least of a portion, several portions, because I also came out of that cult experience and really giving my power away to an authority that knew something, and realizing, no, I don't care what anybody else says. I'm listening to myself. And even with other people that might gaslight you in your life around your boundaries or your needs, just not listening to the outside, right? So all these different ways that we're extracting from the program, and the worthiness piece being one of them. One of the programs that we're clearing, we've gotten it through our parents, through our upbringing, through the educational system, through the conditioning of what others felt they had to make us be so that they could be good parents or good teachers or whatever, right? A lot of deep programming in that, especially connected to the survival, because the survival is connected to our performance and our ability to earn money and all these things, right? So it's really, really interwoven there. A lot of us unplugging that right now, trusting that our authenticity, our true currency is what brings us our abundance, and also feeling kind of scared about that. Like, what if I'm just crazy? Or what if, it's like, you can't force yourself to do the old thing. You can't force yourself to sell yourself or to like, for me, like I can't force myself to do any of that, and I haven't been able to for many years. It just never felt right to me, right? But even if you were able to hustle and do that, it's like, and same thing with the addictions, like we were talking about last time, a lot of those sort of patterns that were embedded with the old energy are just falling away. So you're finding yourself not being able to do things that you used to be able to do before, and then maybe you're beating yourself up for that, where you're like, gosh, just come on, shake the dust out of your eyes and make something happen. And it's like, no, you're right on par. You're right on par in the surrender and the self-love and coming back to yourself, because it's how you're getting your circuitry intact and how you're getting your magnetism intact. We're pulling things in. We're not chasing things anymore. We're pulling things in. The feminine energy within us leads. Egg sits, sperm follows, right? Egg sits. That's what we all are, whether we're a man or a woman. We all have a feminine side of us. Our right brain, our inspiration, and allowing that to guide us, and then we get those magnetics going within us, because we have our feminine and our masculine, and then working together. Listening to that crazy voice that tells you, don't worry, just don't worry, as everything falls away and you're crunching tighter and tighter and tighter. Come spring, things are going to shift. And trusting that, because that's what you're hearing. And you're trusting what you're hearing. You're trusting when your guidance says, look to the sun. Don't look to the doctor. Don't Google your symptoms. Check that space weather app. See what's going on, see what's going on. Get to know the energies and the frequencies that are coming in and how they affect your body, so that you can work with your own energy system, and so that you don't get in the way and you can allow things to flow, right? We're evolving into a frequency-based species. Yeah. And in that, we're connecting with the true harmonics of this realm. And in that, we have everything at our disposal, all the energy that we need to heal our bodies, all of the connection to the frequencies that we need to pull in what we need. So it's evolution, it's expansion of consciousness, and it's where we're going. There's an inevitability and there's a quickening. Everything that's crunching in the world is leading to this. And so again, there's this small sprouting of this, where even people, so I was talking about this with like my dad and other people with their dads, even people that you wouldn't think would like be registering this energy are starting to. Why? Because it's starting to sprout. It's very new, but we're going to see more and more of it, and more people. And I think that's why, recently, the last few months, these readings have changed a bit, because, it's like these energies are able to be spoken about. It's like we're allowed, right? We're allowed to say it out loud, because people can register it no matter who you are. You can hear it, because it's heart language, it's soul language, which we all have. We're all coded with this. It's the one mind, it's the higher mind, it's the telepathic field. So it's like, I'm just speaking the energy that we're all feeling, and maybe some people aren't feeling it yet because they're clouded with all the conditioning and stuff, but some part of them is, that dream that you had, or that feeling that you had when you were really, really spacious in the ocean, or whatever it is. But it's that one space that we're all in. It's this, and like everybody's starting to sniff. More and more people are starting to sniff it out now, and it's becoming common language. And even like 4 years ago, at the beginning of the solar return, that's when I was having the guidance through my dreams and otherwise to look to the sun, but nobody was talking about this. Nobody was talking about this. And there were some of us that were feeling the energies first. And so I would go on these different groups and people were talking about what they were feeling, but we all thought we were dying and we were all scared. And there might be like one voice that somehow got the message and was able to confidently console everybody. Now it's like everywhere, it's like pretty much anybody you talk to is aware of space weather and flares and, maybe not everybody, but a lot of people, right? And there's, like I read some of the things, an energy comes in and then there's somebody talking about it and they list all the symptoms and they reassure you, no, you're not dying. And I was like, damn, like I would have loved to have had that. But I was also part of the crew that was clearing the fear programs around that. So if I would have had that, I wouldn't have been able to do the job I signed up to do, but so anyway, it's like that kind of stuff is becoming more normalized and people it's easier. And I've talked about this many times. Those of us that have gone through the dark when it was really, really dark and you felt like you were absolutely insane and you couldn't see it all. And yet you just had to keep going because that's what you signed up to do. And we lit these lights in the tunnel. And now others can walk through and see. And so it's getting easier for each wave of people that come through. And so there's a huge expansion, and that's why things are happening in the world as well, because things are so it's that horse energy, again, that fire energy is becoming visible. It's not just in behind the scenes and underground, whereas with behind the scenes and underground, only the mystics and the shamans are going to see it, and it's like, and we did, we brought some light in there and we went first and we did that role. But now it's like, it's visible, it's outward, it's rolling, it can be seen. That inner yin snake shedding healing is coming out into the world. Okay. So, but just starting to, and it's like what I was saying, it's like I had those two indicators, those two things that happened where I was like, okay, things are starting to, they're starting to roll now, but they're just starting. You might not be feeling it yet, but it is in the energy. And so the next card is victory. And so there's again another confirmation of what I was saying. It's like we really can't fail at this. We can worry that we're going to fail about it, and that's part of the initiation, part of the trial, because you need to, eventually you see that you keep going and that you're still alive, or that the money does come in or whatever. You eventually you do. And I was talking about that in a lot of the recent readings as well, where like when you dip into that fear space, you will come out of it. You will pull out of it because, light always triumphs over fear and program. Truth triumphs over illusion. Every time you go in and you come back out, you're strengthening that neural pathway and you're clearing for yourself, your lineage, and the collective. So that back and forth being very, very important. But you are victorious. You are going to be victorious. You are victorious and you will continue to be victorious even when it doesn't feel like that, because the not feeling like that is part of the initiation, part of the alchemy. So just trusting this process. That's beautiful. I love that came up. Okay. Oh, that's so beautiful. I love this. So yeah, the Fool card. So there it is. And there's that trust and that surrender. Oh, she's holding an amethyst crystal. I've had this deck for a long time. It's like I see things when I need to see them. My eyes are like not really working, but that's definitely an amethyst crystal, and she's holding it in the sun, which is really interesting because I did a painting a while back. It was around this time many years ago. I just saw it on my Facebook memories, and it was a woman. Oh, you know when it was? It was right before I started being activated by the sun and the solar energies, and I used to paint a lot, and I would channel, through art rather than like this. Now all my creative energy goes into this, but I painted, and so it was a woman, and she was naked because all the women in my paintings are naked, and she was leaning. You might have seen it if we were friends on Facebook. I think I shared it, if we've been friends for a while. But anyway, she was leaning over the earth, and above her was the sun, but it was coming through like fire. But in between the fire and her were these amethyst points, and I thought that was so interesting. I was like, wow, look at that. How'd that happen? Because I don't try to paint things. I just paint. I just play with color and I play with energy, and then I see a form and I embellish it. So that's how it came out. And so these amethyst points. So it's interesting. She's holding this amethyst point up, and there's this sun energy coming in. And this is very similar to how I'll share it in the comments. If we're on Facebook, you can see it on YouTube. Not many people watch on YouTube. I don't play the algorithm, the rhythm with YouTube. I don't play any of the games. And anyway, so not many people watch on YouTube. But if you are on YouTube and you want to be more interactive, you can find me on Facebook under Wendy Biondo. That's my name, Biondo. Because I share in the comments and stuff stuff like that. And then, it's fun too, because a lot of us have known each other for a long time, and we see each other's posts, we see each other's photos, and it's like we see the synchronicities, and there's just community building on there. But anyway, in the painting, I even had like this color yellow, like some of the light was like going into her heart, and which is where I got really activated. And what really scared me was my heart, the palpitations and the tightness and anxiety attacks and all that. But what I wrote was, the light is coming through us. And I didn't know what that meant. And it was literally like a week later where it all started happening. This was right in the beginning of the increase in solar activity, where it used to be spread very far apart. If you don't know, we go every 11 years, we come into a solar maximum. But in between, when we're, on the other side of that 11 years, it's pretty quiet. You might have one X flare in a year. And during that time, one of those years, the peak year, we had like 35 in a month. It's like we were really getting hit. Anyway, so that's really interesting. But us being those crystals receiving this light, and also being of the earth, we're like the anchors, we're the anchors. It's interesting. I just saw a dream on my memories, and it was, I had this dream that there was a Native American elder, and he was telling me that I needed to plant this crystal in the earth, and it was called Lobi. And I didn't know what that was. And I was like, well, I don't know what that crystal is. I don't know how to do this. I don't know what to do. And when I woke up, it was very clear to me that I was the crystal, and that I just needed to like go into nature, So I always go into nature, but I think at that point, maybe I didn't go as frequently as I go now. I looked up Lobi, and what's also interesting is in the dream, I was moving to this area, and the area felt like Africa to me. And so there was some African connection. When I looked up the word Lobi, it was an African tribe, and it meant children of the forest. So I was like, wow, but again, wow, just these synchronicities with the painting. Oh God. Okay. So the painting, just this time many years ago, and then that dream this time many years ago. And then also, if we're friends on Facebook, you might've seen, I had this Lemurian, seed crystal. And it was small, and it was orangey. It had like the amber tint. And I got it 10 years ago. I know it was 10 years because it was just on my memory yesterday where I talked about this, where I was like, talking about the experiences that I was having with this crystal and sleeping with it. And it was like opening up my memories and all this. And so I had lost it, and I hadn't seen it for many years. And when I was cleaning up my house, I found it. I stepped on it, and I was like, oh my God, like, look, here it is, And so then the synchronicity was seeing that memory. So here's all these synchronicities with the crystal and the sun and the anchoring and that dream of anchoring the crystal down in the earth. But we are the crystals. And so that Lemurian seed quartz connected me with my memories of who I am and why I'm here and what I'm doing. And, this kind of area, that room that we go in where you're like, whoa, maybe I'm crazy, but I've always sort of felt this thing, and maybe it's actually real. And yes, it's real, right? But that's also that self-worth, where instead of turning on yourself because you're not good at the hustle, or you're not good at the world, because you're here for this other thing, attuning to that and coming back to that, to your inherent worth, to your inherent signature, which is not from here. It's the seed quartz, the Lemurian seed quartz, the star seed quartz, the galactic energy, the galactic transmission, the higher frequency, right? You came in with a higher frequency. A lot of you that resonate with these, you came in with a higher frequency. And so you want to plant your frequency. You want to plant the Lobi, the child of the earth, into the ground, the crystal that you are. You're an antenna. You receive the information. It recodes you, just like we recode crystals. We can code them. We code with our words. We're creating our realities with our words and our focus. We're coding our energetic transmission by what we're putting out. And we're grounding. We're grounding into the earth. We're grounding through that Kundalini energy. Again, when you want to clear something out that's not in distortion, that we don't want to plant here, we bring it up through our breath and shake it off. And when we want to anchor it and ground it, something that's a value of the higher of our higher selves, then we breathe it down, we anchor it, we bring it down into the earth, into the core, into the crystalline grid, right? So huge message with this card here. Even this, even though the flower of life is a bit suspicious, depending on where you're at in your explorations, but still that geometry, that geometry where you're creating the geometry through your thoughts and through your alignments. You're creating a geometry of distortion and mind control and a hive mind, or you're creating a geometry that's tapped into the true mind, the true mind, and walking into that, you connect with that, and then whatever you're connecting to, you're walking into, you're creating it, you step into it. So we want to be stepping into the true thing, right? That is coming back to our true currency, because it's the quiet voice we've always had since we were small, that society trained us out of, right? Trained us out of our imaginations, took art out of the schools, out of all the things, the music's been hijacked, everything's been distorted and made shallow, and that's like that area in our psyches and in our mind and in our beings, it just was never highlighted. It was never like, hey, look over here. It was always look over here, so we're claiming that back, and we're changing our geometry. We're planting our seed, the true currency. As we connect with that, we start to magnetize in. Okay, so yeah, it's huge. It's huge, and it's inevitable. It's a big shift to make. For some people, it's easier than others. That's the other thing that I want to say. A lot of us sort of, if we signed up for this, we signed up for this creation and for this, our higher selves wouldn't allow us to be successful in this realm, right? So that's a lot of the unworthiness as well, where you're like, well, I've basically failed at everything, I failed at everything. And so how am I not supposed to have self-worth? But it's like, you were hugely successful when it came to knowing yourself, when it came to seeing behind the scenes, when it came to reading energy, when it came to not participating in things that had mind fuckery in them and dark spells and all this. You were hugely successful. It's just our society doesn't value that, right? But so it's like just, and a lot of us have moved into this arena where like, okay, I found my people and I'm creating my service and yes, I'm aligning with this, but again, that programming is still in there. So there's a lot that we're unraveling right now, and around that, because of that, you came in like this, but all you saw was this, and you didn't know, you didn't understand this because you didn't have anything freaking validating it. And so you had to crawl your way out of the darkness and remember and sniff out the scent of your own soul and your own guidance system. And you got that, you got that, but there are things to be cleared, and they're clearing now, and they're clearing in response to triggers and this and that. And that's a wonderful, glorious thing, because we're getting this back, we're reuniting the timeline. So a lot with the inner child stuff too, a lot. And I think that's part of why a lot of the like daddy stuff is coming up for a lot of us, that I was talking about in that last reading or two. So like that reconnection with the past, with the past you. It's like a 7 of Wands type of energy in my one deck with the unicorn, the good tarot, where the unicorn's on top of the mountain and there are like these sparks of light, and it's like you knew who you were, but then you got lost, and that's the energy of when you find it again. That's kind of like this. That's this moment where we're reconnecting with this seed, this crystal that is us, that is our true energetic signature, our original frequency, our true frequency, and the victory in that. There's a victory in that, and it's happening through the coyote energy, right? So all the things that maybe last week we were mad about or feeling crunched by, or now it's like, okay, we're starting to see, and that might be part of that Neptune and Aries energy, where you're able to make the connections. It's not so murky. It's not so like you're held underwater. Stay down there. Just stay down. Like stay down till you find your gills. Stay down till you find your gills and your flippers, and you're able to navigate in multidimensionally and on both land and sea. Where you can travel in between. Only then are you going to be let up. It's like Kali, right? And so that was one of the things that my friend, she works with all the archetypes. She knows all of them all across all the different cultures, and she's collected them and held them close, and it's just like tarot, right? It's like the perfect symbolism. And she was saying like Kali handing it over to Durga, and with her tiger. And so it's like it's shifting realms, the crunches are shifting, coming out of that snake shedding alchemy, merging. We still have a few weeks left. We still have 3 weeks left. It's also interesting that right on that shift in energy in terms of the Chinese New Year, but you can feel it. It's palpable. It's like that is accurate. It's like we also have that eclipse. We have that huge eclipse. So definitely something around that time. I think the full moon also on the 1st, coming up in just a few days. I was hearing that there's a closing of a 9-year cycle with this as well. So from 9 years ago, I guess it would be 2017. That's when things really started shifting for me, where I saw all these different, it's like every area of my life. And that was when that big eclipse came that was visible all across the United States. And so it was like, there were every area of my life, there were these two paths. And it was like, are you going to choose your rote response, or are you going to choose higher? And I chose higher in each and every one. And it was huge for me, because if you've been listening to me, there was a large period of time where I was in huge battle with my ex. We were fractals of the light and the dark, or the, the Lyran and the Orion. And oh my God, I don't know if I'm going to go into that. There's a huge thing with that as well. It's been coming up again. So let's just feel into that. Yeah, but let me continue. That and choosing the higher. So 2017, if you look back, you might see that there was a real shift where you got on a different path and you started experiencing totally new things like I did. I met the divine counterpart energy that catalyzed me, got me into that inner union, clicked me in with all of those memories, and on and on and on and on and on, right? So tracking that, seeing, okay, we're starting another one. This supposedly happening with this full moon, because it's like the last moon. I forget the details, but there's a reason, and you might have heard it as well. It's the last moon, in the cycle that connects with then. Okay. So another indicator of starting something new. So this next card is surrender. Okay, the surrender. I'm also noticing that it's a number 8 card, which is again that kind of hidden, that scorpionic. That is again that like more of that snake energy where you're transmuting and you're working in the behind and that type of thing. So that's interesting. That energy is coming up with this, along with this card surrender, which the Fool is also a surrender card too, where you're stepping off that cliff, and it's almost like you've done enough work in the, oh yeah, okay, so that makes sense. It's like kind of like my invocation of like, I can trust what's coming through me. I can trust what's coming through me in response to my everyday life, where I'm not just an oracle in readings or in sessions. I'm an oracle all the time. We're an oracle. We're channeling through the exact higher energy that needs to be delivered in service to each organic moment, right? It's not like we, like the whole thing, like you go to church and then you're asshole the rest of your life. It's like, this is consistent throughout everything. We're surrendering to this higher energy. And so we're living it. We're stepping into it. We're allowing it to come through us, knowing that we're guided. This is like a big nebulous guidance here, but it's also with the 8, this indication again with the Kali. It's like, you've done that work. You've done that work underground. Now the seeds are starting to sprout. And so it's a different game, and you can surrender to the shift. And it's like my friend and I, where we were like, oh gosh, but everything else didn't work out. Why would this work out? It's like, well, because you were in your Kali period. You were in the dark. You were underground. Everything that was coming to you and taken away was part of your alchemy to get you to this place where you could trust yourself, because you laid the foundation. You did the ego deaths. You did the self confrontation. You met your shadow. You activated through all the coyote energy. You activated your Christic energy. You can trust it now. It's like Jesus shit is what my friend and I are saying. It's like you're walking around holding your frequency, structuring that water. And that was always the point. The second coming is all of us ascending into our higher energy, coming out of the lower energy, the program, allowing our higher energy to move through us and surrendering to that. And that it's safe because you've done the work. You've done the work. Remember? The victory. You've had the victory. This really strong message coming through. I think a lot of us probably need to be hearing this right now. Okay, oh my gosh, I'm at 52 minutes. I usually do a bottom row as well, but I guess I talked a lot. So I'm just going to do a closing message. I'm going to do a couple from my shaman decks that I really love. I haven't pulled any of those yet. Let's see here. Okay. The jeweled web connectivity. Okay, so there's the 5, the 3, and the 2, adding up to 5. There's that huge change. This is what we're going through, and the jeweled web as well. So that's very similar to this, the interconnectedness of all things. And when we surrender and we tap into that, then we're one with that. It's the unity principle, and it's just again pulling our energy out of the false separated programming and back into what's real and true, so that we can flow in union with all that is, and then we don't have to have the fear of anything, because because again, our what we need comes in when we need it. Our bodies heal because our bodies and the health issues, or the it's stagnation of energy. It's trapped energy that's not able to flow, energy that's cycling in a way that just spins and pulls things out of alignment. Things opening up when you're connected and you're open and your heart is open, your body reconfigures, and that's what's been going on. We've also been having assistance with the sun and this as well with the activations. And so again, it's like it's the answer to everything, coming into that oneness and that unity solves all of the problems. And I think that's why when my friend was like talking about the scribing, and I was like, well, I don't really want anything other than alignment, because I know when I'm in alignment, everything else that I might need in a certain moment is going to come through and be there for me. And so using our mind and our will and our scribing, our writing, our anchoring the energy of phrases that help us get into alignment, right? That remind us of our alignment, that remind us of even things like I found this saying that I had written. I've always kind of worked with sayings and put them all over my house, but it was something like, all of my actions are in service to the good of the whole today. And I have it like under the mirror because I wanted my daughter to see it too. So it's just so that we see it every day, and again, there's that jeweled web where your every action that you have, not just when you're meditating or when you're doing something that connects you with your spirituality, but having that be the intention where we come into that unity consciousness. Okay. All right. Oh, wow. The drum, and that's a 1 and a 5 and a 6. And the drum, it's like, so the 6 is often, I talk about this a lot, where it's like the container, the vessel for this, the vessel for this, we're all a human on this planet, and we're each an individuated source of all that is, right? We're an individuated aspect of it, but being this, right? And so the drum, connecting, it's like the human heart, right? The human heart, which is what connects us to this web, and the drum connecting us to our hearts and connecting us to this web, and just beating that drum, staying in that, maintaining the frequency. So often, people will use tools and things like this to raise their frequency, or to connect them to the higher frequency, right? And so, you drum, or you rattle, or you do your ceremonies, or you do whatever you do, and it brings you into that space. It brings you into that space, and then you might fall out of it. This is like the drum of like dedication, the drum being the prayers, the invocations, the weaving in, the webbing, the webbing into every area of your life, where you fill in all the gaps, right? We're pushing out the old, we're pushing out all the things that kept us separate, that made it so that we had to do ceremonies or whatever we do to, pull away or go on or get us into that energy, because there was so much that was pulling us into separation and into divisiveness and into distraction. And so this is the drum of making this your priority in every moment, and setting that up again with your words, where you are the vessel for right action in every moment, and living that. It's Christ consciousness. It's living that Christ consciousness in every moment, and it's where we're going, and the seeds of this are coming up now. So there's just more and more and more of this. I imagine I'll probably be talking about this a lot. It seems like when an energy shifts and there's something new, it's just chiseling away at it, and with different words and different angles, it just always comes through, but in a slightly different way. As we refine this new path that we're on, one of unity, one of wholeness, one of Christ consciousness, one of compassion, one of allowing yourself to be that vessel. But again, a real indicator, the drum, coming back to that discernment, like making the call, the prayer, the intention for energetic discernment front and foremost, because that is the drum, the conjuring of your higher aspect, your connected self, that jeweled web to anchor it down, and to live it, the 6, to live it while you're in your vessel. We're not leaving our bodies to go get it, and then we come back and we got to go get it again, because we want to embody it in every moment. It's the next step. It's where we're going now. And again, remember that victory and that surrender. You can surrender to surrender to and call forth this energy, your energy, to be with you every day, throughout all day. I welcome magic, and I can't wait to see the magic. I am a magnet to miracles. Everything always works out for me in miraculous ways, conjuring this energy so that you can live it, so that you can plant your divinity here on earth. We're anchoring heaven on earth, but the drum coming through as sort of that intention, that being the focus, right? That being the focus, withdrawing from the old focus that says the way to success is to do these things that just keep you trapped in separation and slavery. So, all right, I am going to end there. I'm at 58 minutes, and thank you for listening. I'm sure that made sense. I was going to say, I hope that makes sense. I'm sure it made sense. I always feel like I could say things better or say things deeper. But again, that's my old mind trusting the channel. Wow. A real live example of that right at the end as I caught myself going into that old energy. No, I'm just going to trust what's coming through. And may we all do that. And may we all honor and love ourselves and our authenticity and all the things we could judge about ourselves. There are so many things I can and have judged myself about how I do things and who I am, and just knowing, like my daughter's been saying this thing, one of her affirmations is, I am my favorite person. And I was just like, oh, that's so beautiful. I am my favorite person. I'm exactly who and how I need to be for what I'm here to do. The way I look, the way I speak, the way I do things. And other people might criticize and they might do it differently. But you are that, again, that 6. You are that God fractal. That's your original tone, your original frequency. You know what you came here to do, and walking to your own drum and walking and living to the beat of your own drum, so that you can plant that crystal that you are. So, all right, much love to you all. Thank you for being here and for going through all the things that I know you go through too, and all the dark nights and the doubts and the questioning, and just knowing this, just hopefully being a reminder that we're all doing this together, that it is part of a higher plan, and that we are making progress. There is a victory ensured as we walk this new path, and you're not alone. You're not alone. You're never alone. And and as always, feel free to share or to reach out if you want, if you would like a reading, if you're in town, if you would like a session, or if you're passing through town. Please let me know. Happy to support and to just gather in community where 2 or more gather, and we anchor these energies and we help clear out some of that lower stuff. Also, just commenting or sharing. Some people will share everything, all the synchronicities, and it just builds community and it helps anchor energy, and it just creates this web. We're all part of this web, and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for all of you. And okay, I'll see you next time if I do. Much love.